Hello, I'm Jeremy, and today I'm going to talk about a video that came out by the YouTube channel Liberty Pen. They're talking about an article that Thomas Sowell wrote in the newspaper back in 1985. I have a link in the description below so you can watch the entire video. It's him talking about how nothing the government does for you is free, that everything costs something. And so before we get into it, if you're interested in this, then please click the thumbs up button. And after you've watched about half a dozen videos, 5, 6 videos, then subscribe, become a member. Then after you've been watching for about a month and I've built up a library of content and you agree with what's going on and you would like to see this happen and I've proven myself to you, then become a member on my Subscribe Star or Patreon, so in that way I can have income so I can hire people. Or these people are going to be people who are going to do content creators, and as members you're going to be able to pick what it is that they're going to do content over. And we're just going to continue to grow it from there, so then I can hopefully be able to not wait too long to hire people to do coding and to deal with everything that needs to be done to deal with a business. And it's because I'm tired of lying. And if you're tired of lying too, this is going to be an automated system where people get to do this. It's going to start off with people being scientists and be able to do their own research and to actually put in the work so we have the most accurate, up-to-date information possible. I cannot do this, and I have it filled with all these checks and balances to keep it fair and open and honest as much as possible. Won't be perfect. I'm not making that claim, but it will be a million times better because we have nothing right now. So just continue to watch and you'll understand as time goes on. So Thomas Sowell writes this article in 1985 about how everything has a cost, that the government doesn't produce anything. They hire contractors, they hire other people, they have administrators that do all this stuff. But with welfare, if it's HUD, if it's food stamps, they don't produce anything. They get the money by raising taxes. And so that makes everything more expensive for us. They don't build the housing for HUD, they hire contractors. And don't be surprised if these people who are doing this work are friends with the politicians. So then they overpay these contractors, and then, oh my goodness, what? Some of that money went back to the politicians through a fundraising by one means or another, or they give some kind of some kind of speech at a lecture hall, and it's like $100 a plate, and it goes to campaign fundraising, or it goes to Hillary and Bill Clinton have that charity foundation or whatever, and then they pay themselves out of their own foundation extraordinarily high wages out of that stuff, or salaries, whatever. It's ridiculous. And I talked about this in another video about how you do not want a minimum wage and you don't want to increase taxes. You don't want to do any stuff. If people are completely incapable of taking care of themselves, where they need help from the government, then this isn't the answer. And what this is right now, and it's all that we had at the time, but it's outdated, is that outdated. I need to make a note. And it was okay at the time because that was the best that we had, but that's no longer the best that we have today. And we need to move away from this system of enabling. And this is something that I do on my other channel. On my other channel, Practical Focused Improvement, I'm going into values and what they mean. One of the things that I've learned during all this is that I kind of am leaning towards Aristotle's golden mean, and that is if you take any virtue or value to an extreme, then it becomes a vice. And so in this case, it would be kindness. That if you are not kind, then you are cruel, but if you are too kind, then you are an enabler. And that's what we're doing here. We are enablers. We are giving people money to do nothing. And so that's a pretty good hint as to what I would have changed with all of this. And I'll get into specifics later, but one step at a time. So everything costs something. So since the government has to get money from us, it makes everything worse. It makes everything more expensive. And I talked about this in a previous video, where if it's just something as simple as bread, it starts with the farmers having to hire their hire hands to be able to farm and to grow the wheat. But whenever you raise minimum wage or taxes, then it costs the farmer more for those people. So if the minimum wage goes up, then their wages go up. If taxes go up, then their income tax goes up. And how do they compensate for that? It's because they now sell the wheat for more. And then the same thing with the trucking companies such as CL England, whenever they transport the wheat from the farms to a mill for it to, the wheat to be milled down to flour. So they're at the mill too, and then whichever transportation company that they use to take it from the mill to the bakery, and then from the bakery it gets transported again to like Walmart or whoever it is that's going to sell the bread. And so at each place, all their workers are now a larger cost to the company, either through increased income taxes that they have to pay. So their costs go up. That means that whenever they sell the wheat, they sell it for more to help cover those costs. When they're transporting it, they too cost more for the increased costs. So they're transporting whatever goods that they have, that goes up as well. And it's not just that. Whenever I say everything, I mean everything goes up. It's also the farmer with everything that he's buying, because it's the same thing. It's the tractors, the combines, it's the seed, it's the fertilizer, it's everything. It's the irrigation pipe, it's the motors, it's the oil. So whenever they water the crops, they dig a well and then they have a motor and it pumps all the water out, and that's how they irrigate their crops. So all that stuff now costs more. Everything costs more. With the transportation company, CL England or whatever, they're paying their workers more, but it's also the trucks cost more, the tires, the brakes. If they have to take it into a mechanic for it to get worked on, they're at the shop for the mechanic shop that they have to take it into. Same thing with them. All their tools, their brakes, everything that they're buying, everything that they're using, the electricity, the gas, the water, everything has gone up. Everything, because it's not like we're talking about the workers in for everything everywhere. We're talking about everything that's being produced everywhere. And so the more complicated the thing is, the more expensive that it is. And if you're wondering why maybe some things aren't getting hit as much, don't be surprised if it's because it's coming from overseas, from someplace like China, where they don't have to deal with all of this nonsense. It doesn't make any sense why you can buy something from China and it's cheaper than what it is here in America, even though it's being transported from the other side of the planet, that it has to go through trains, trucks, planes, boats, or whatever to get here, and it's still cheaper. That's ridiculous. That should not be going on at all. But it is, because the government has gotten involved and they've screwed us all over. I do not care for Republicans or Democrats or any of them. They're all liars, cheats, and scoundrels as far as I care. And I don't give a damn if there's a few good ones in there. The system overall is absolutely corrupt nonsense. So I hope that you understood all of this. Tom, and this is still, before I go, this is the problem that I'm talking about. He wrote this article in 1985, and we're still having a discussion about minimum wage and whether if it's good or bad and raising taxes. This is ridiculous. It's already there. The data should be there. Even if I'm wrong, the data should be there for one way or the other. I want to know about the government and what's going on and politics and current news. And I'm tired of the lies and I'm tired of the nonsense. I want to know exactly what's going on so I can make the best, most informed decisions. And then also, there's no limit as to how high you can go with this stuff. It's like, well, you can make minimum wage $15 an hour. Well, why not 30 or 60 or 100? And everything else will go up accordingly. You know, why do you have a job? So you can go and buy things. You don't need $1 million. You need purchasing power. That's what happens with economies that collapse. Whenever I was in the army, I went and did some joint training in Poland, and that's what happened there. Their economy was going down for a little while. That's definitely happened in the former Yugoslavia. They completely collapsed, and there were people who had tons of money and they couldn't buy anything. It's what's going on in Venezuela right now. You don't want $1 million so you can buy one thing at the store. You want to have $1 so you can buy 1,000,000 things at the store, so that it's a penny for toilet paper, a penny for a loaf of bread, not the other way around. And so while there's no limit as to how high you can go, there is a limit to how far down you can go, and that's free. Whenever you get the free, mission accomplished, you got the toilet paper, you got the bread, or whatever that it is. And it's going to happen. You know why it's going to happen? Because we're going to have robots. I don't know if it'll happen during my lifetime or not, but it's definitely going to happen. It doesn't make any sense. It's like I live in clown world, or maybe I don't know what's going on, but it's like everything is backwards. Everything. It's just ridiculous. I think part of the problem is that, yes, people are not educated well enough to understand what's really going on, because a lot of this stuff, how many times have you heard this explained in this way? How many times has that happened? And even if you don't agree with me, what if I'm right? And so my website that I'm going to design, it's going to be filled with checks and balances to deal with this stuff, because I'm tired of a small little group, politicians, lobbyists, whatever, just going around and acting like they're God, that they know what's best. It's like, no, they don't. They absolutely do not. You know why? Because they don't know you. How many times have you sat down with the president and talked to him, the vice president, any members of Congress, any members of the Senate? How about your own state governor? How about your city mayor? Why would you expect any of these people to ever know anything that's going on with you? If anybody really knows you, it's going to be your parents. And how good of a job did they do with that? It's like, oh, well, this is what you're going to be throughout your life. It's like, You don't even know. You have to explore and find that out for yourself. So I'm tired of it. I want the lies to stop. I think we're going to find out that we actually know a lot less than what we think that we do. And you know what? So what? It's okay. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I'd like to see you again. Get involved in the discussion down below. Leave a little comment. Get it going. And I hope you're ready for a fight, because this isn't going to be easy. People in power are not going to like this, but I'm not going to ask anybody's permission. I'm going to do this. Nobody's going to stop me. The government and people in power are going to have a problem with this at some point in time. And it's like, bring it. I'm just not. So I hope you're ready to fight. I am. So we'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye.